Today we're on the Hatchie River on Earth Day 2020. Hatchie River is a special resource, a national treasure really, right here in northern Mississippi and West Tennessee. Hatchie is nearly 240 miles long, river miles. Starts in northern Mississippi, flows north into Tennessee, slowly starts to curve northwest, then around the central part of West Tennessee it turns west, and all this water goes straight into the Mississippi River into the Gulf of Mexico. This river is a swamp river, at least that's what I call it. Slow moving, meandering, very broad floodplain. Carries a lot of water during some times of the year, less water in the mid-late summer. An important ecological aspect about this river is that the river is not just what you see in front of you, not just the main stem, but the river itself. A lot of ecologists, including myself, would include the bottomland hardwood forest and the floodplain because flooding is a natural part of this system. It's an important part of this system. It regenerates wetlands, water quality, provides rich soil for forests, wildlife. This river itself is much broader than what you see here. Some places the river floodplain forest can be a mile wide on the Hatchie. Hatchie was designated a state scenic river in 1970. In Tennessee, it's the only river designated as scenic that is included in its entirety. Lots of beautiful rivers in Tennessee. Water is one of our greatest natural resources in this wonderful state. But for Hatchie, it's important to think about the scenic values of this river and the other values of this river in its whole. As I said, the system from top to bottom, side to side, is what's important here. All the pieces make up one long, beautiful, important ecosystem that functions well. Watershed of the Hatchie is nearly 1.6 million acres. Watershed supports land uses of forestry and agriculture primarily. The value of the soil and the trees is often, in many places, related to this river. The natural flooding that's happened has helped enrich the soils over years. That rich soil adds to the tremendous growth potential for both trees and agricultural crops. In this 1.6 million acres of watershed along the Hatchie River itself, there's estimated to be nearly 150,000 acres of bottomland hardwood forest. And if you think about the forest as actually part of the river itself, the subtleties and how the forest itself is balanced out across the floodplain is pretty remarkable. Water and elevation dictate. You look across the floodplain and it looks very flat, but actually it's not. 6 inches of elevation difference can mean the difference between an entire tree species community. The wetter spots have cypress and water tupelo. It's a little bit drier, you might get overcup oak. A little bit drier than that, swamp chestnut oak, cherry bark oak, and a host of others. So there are natural systems here within the system, natural communities that are driven both by elevation and this natural flood regime. Very, very important. One reason this river was designated as a state scenic river the last remaining tributary to the lower Mississippi River that has not been channelized. Channelization was a process of straightening out these meanders in order to have flood control. That is, to get the water off the land as quickly as possible with a straight line ditch. The Hatchie in its entirety has not been channelized, and thus remains a natural scenic river, a natural river with its meanders and its flood regime and the creation of oxbow lakes and cutoff lakes in the forest. The system itself has over 100 different species of fish. Incredibly rich diversity. The Hatchie can count 11 species of catfish, ranging from the ones that we know really well, like flathead catfish, one of the largest fish in the Hatchie system, to some of the small darters that we may not consider catfish if you look at it, but they are. They're in the catfish family. Small fish, 3 inches long or so. Very important to the system here. Hatchie also has 35 different species of mussels. The small clams, a lot of people call them, that occur in sandbanks and mud banks along the river, underwater, live their lives underwater. An important part of the system here. Very important to how the system works. Over the course of the year, the Hatchie bottomland hardwood here might have over 250 species of birds visited. There are summer residents, there are winter residents, there are birds that come through only in migration in the spring and the fall. It may be well known to a lot of people for numbers of waterfowl in the winter, mallard primarily, where you get up to 100,000 or more ducks. This time of year, however, it's known well for the thousands of birds passing through in migration from points south in the tropics. South America, Central America, Mexico, the Caribbean. Those birds travel through here. Some birds stop here to nest every spring and then return to the tropics in the fall. The Hatchie is not just a natural resource. The watershed itself has helped create a strong and rich cultural heritage. From the headwaters, where Ida B. Wells was born and raised in Holly Springs, Mississippi, to the middle part of the Hatchie watershed, where Carl Perkins, Tina Turner, Sleepy John Estes, Sonny Boy Williamson, all rich cultural music, to the end of the river, the mouth of the river, which was the home of Isaac Hayes and Alex Haley. Watershed has generated both natural and strong cultural resources. There are a couple of species unique to the Hatchie. One has just been recently discovered to science, the Hatchie burrowing crayfish, a small crawdad that's endemic to West Tennessee, occurs only in this spot. There are a couple of other species that are in peril that we watch out for in particular along the river banks, including some of those small fish and mussels. Within the 130,000 acres of bottomland hardwood forest and more acreage of floodplain habitats, the Hatchie is home to 2 national wildlife refuges that occupy nearly 25,000 acres of habitat, fish and wildlife populations. One is in the middle part of the Hatchie National Wildlife Refuge. The other is at the mouth, the lower Hatchie National Wildlife Refuge. Access to the river is good. There's not too much, but there's enough. Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency has several boat ramps along the river for easy access and public enjoyment of this national treasure. Maintaining the integrity of the Hatchie watershed and the Hatchie River system is of utmost importance. It's the last remaining type of its kind, a fully unchannelized tributary to the Mississippi River. Bottomland hardwoods that are rich and have a natural flood regime. Home to countless number of birds over the course of the year. The river system itself, this main stem, the channel, has fish and mussels. The system holds still many, many secrets. Dragonflies, damselflies, caddisflies, all kinds of aquatic insects occur here that we just simply don't yet know about. Encourage you to get out and explore the Hatchie. Be kind to it, be gentle with it, enjoy it, and share those stories with your friends and family about the importance of this unique resource.